Hello, Whole30 day 23. Welcome to the YouTube Live. I am polishing my blue light glasses, playing with a red lipstick again today. How fun is this? Makeup. I've been playing with different lipsticks and talking about it mostly on Instagram, but occasionally here. And we're going bright red today. I'm going to put my Clark Kent glasses on because they definitely help me with my concussion symptoms. Hello, welcome to Whole30 day 23. So excited to be here with you again. Good morning, good afternoon. I am here, Melissa Urban. Of course, as always, Whole30 HQ is in the comments as well to answer any questions and share any links. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Whole30 HQ. And yes, of course, don't forget, if you are new to the channel, please click that subscribe button and the little thumbs up button that says you like the video. That helps get our Whole30 videos out to other people who are interested in doing a Whole30, and that way we can get them accurate information straight from the source. So good morning. How are we doing this morning? Let me jump through some comments here. Kathleen, good morning and afternoon and evening. I've seen Kathleen here almost every single day. It's really good to see you back. Thank you for joining us. Good afternoon, Kiosha. Welcome to the live. Hi, Serenity. Unexpectedly pulled my belt past the last notch this morning. We love it when clothes feel good and we feel comfortable and we're seeing all of these various non-scale victories. Love to see it. Happy to hear it. Hi, Lisa. Welcome back. Oh yeah, I am hoping that you've been able to watch some of them on the replay if you haven't been able to join us live, but happy birthday, happy belated birthday. And I'm glad that you had a really great celebration all about relationships and not the food. And they cooked you a new Whole30 recipe. Amazing. Tell us what it was and how much you liked it. I would love to hear. Jamie is saying yesterday you were having the worst craving for a milkshake. And your boyfriend said if you still wanted a milkshake at the end of the episode of the show, you'd take me. Craving gone. Boyfriend for the win. This is a proven strategy that I have been using for decades. And I actually began using it early in my recovery from my drug addiction, where I would have a craving for drugs. I would feel the need to use. And I would tell myself, if at the end of the day you're still having this craving, then you can go ahead and talk to somebody. You can call your sponsor, you can call your sister, but if at the end of the day you're still having the craving, then that means that this craving is like real and you should take action. And invariably giving myself that time to just sit with it and process it would help me realize that I was not actually craving the substance, that I was craving something else. I needed a connection. I needed to talk about my feelings. I was sitting in some discomfort. You can also use the same strategy with food. And I've talked about this for many, many years with the Whole30. You're having a craving for a milkshake and you tell yourself, you know what, if I still have this craving at the end of the episode, at the end of the day, after lunch, then I'm going to address it. Doesn't necessarily mean give in, but it means, okay, there's something happening behind the scenes here that's really kind of more meaningful than just a craving. And if I still have the craving at the end of this episode, then yep, it's time to kind of talk about it and dig through. Chances are the craving is going to be gone. So it's such a good proven strategy to put yourself in a little bit of timeout, employ the pause. It's also a really helpful strategy in your food freedom. When you're saying, somebody comes around and says, do you want another glass of wine? You can say, I'm not sure. I'll let you know if I do. And you can tell yourself in 10 minutes, if I still want it, then I'll go ahead and have it. Or if at the end of the meal, I decide I still want it, then I'll go ahead and have it. And that can be a really helpful strategy too, for giving yourself the time and the space to figure out, is it really worth it? And do I really want it? So I absolutely love that strategy. Great job, Jamie. Great job, boyfriend, for that little psychological trick. We love it. Good morning, Elena. Welcome back to the day shift. We're really happy to hear it. You're taking a morning coffee break with nut pods. I have, as usual, my mud water with my nut pods. I have the coffee cake unsweetened nut pods. So it's kind of like I don't know, how would you describe the flavor of coffee cake? Like maybe some cinnamon in it? Obviously, there's no sugar whatsoever, but it's a nice, warm, earthy, delicious flavor. That's the flavor that's in my fridge right now. Hello from Tahoe. I love it. We got a little bit of snow overnight here in Salt Lake City as well. You woke up with a lot of energy today, and you had a dream that you took a bite of a cookie. Yeah, food dreams are still a thing at this point in your Whole30. We're on Whole30 day 23, but still talking about food, still thinking about food. Very normal to have a food dream. I hope that it felt so real that you got to eat the cookie and like really enjoy it in that dream. I mean, if you got to really enjoy it, that's like the best of both worlds. I love that. Hi, Patricia. Good afternoon. Back to be back on. Oh, good. I'm glad you're back today. Welcome back from Long Island, and you're feeling great. I love to see it. Laura is feeling good today. Clothes are more comfortable. I like that. I like that you woke up happy and feeling self-confident. That's a wonderful non-scale victory. That is absolutely fantastic. We love to see it. Jennifer, we're also sharing non-scale victories that are like clothing related, fit into a pair of jeans that were too tight. Yesterday, we talked about this idea of just feeling more comfortable in clothes that fit us better because they had a little bit more wiggle room. They had a little bit more breathing room, a little bit more grace. They weren't pinching. They weren't riding up. I think that's a wonderful non-scale victory. We all deserve to feel really good in the clothes that we are wearing and to feel like the clothes that we are wearing fit us well and feel comfortable. And if you can achieve that through the Whole30 and maybe less bloating and maybe a little bit more movement and all of the non-scale victories that the Whole30 brings, I will absolutely celebrate that with you. Meredith is going out for a walk. Happy walking and enjoy. I have been at my standing desk all morning, so I have a desk that I can sit, I can also stand, and then I've got my walking treadmill underneath. And I got back from my workout this morning and my legs were already so sore that I was like, I can't sit down. If I sit down, I'm just going to get stuck in a sitting position. So I started work at about 7:30 this morning and it's now 11 and I've been standing the entire time. So this is the first time I've sat down all day and I won't lie, it feels pretty good. But I'm probably going to go back to standing when we're done. Sarah, you're finally getting over your sickness and you had the energy to work out. That is wonderful. I love hearing that. I'm so glad that you're feeling better. Get back into those movement sessions. Do it with your 1-year-old. That's really fun. I'm glad you're feeling good. Kathleen is saying shopping used to be difficult and dreaded, and now it's becoming natural to shop for healthy foods and not stressful. Yes, this is huge. I know the first time you go to the grocery store to do a Whole30, I know that that first shopping trip can take a lot of time, can feel stressful, and is just complicated. You know, you're looking at the labels, you're trying to figure out what brands work for you, your current ketchup isn't cutting it, your current ranch dressing isn't Whole30 compatible, the chicken broth you were using had sugar in it, so now you have to find new brands. We've tried to make this really easy for you. When you see the Whole30 approved logo on the bottle or the package or the carton or the stick, you don't have to read the label. That Whole30 approved logo lets you know that that product is automatically compatible with the Whole30 program rules. Skip the label. That's like what we're talking about right now. Skip the label if you look for that Whole30 approved logo. So when you're in the pasta sauce aisle, scanning, maybe you've got the Whole30 approved page up on your phone and you're looking at brands of pasta sauces and you see Organicville. Okay, I know that's Whole30 compatible. Or maybe you look for the Whole30 approved logo on the bottle and you see like the Primal Kitchen marinara, basil marinara sauce. You see the Whole30 approved logo and you're like, that's automatically compatible. That can help save you so much time in the grocery store because all you need to do is look for that logo on the package. But it's still time consuming to figure this out for every single pantry good and, you know, item that you need in your fridge and dressing and sauce and coffee creamer. Now that you're 3 weeks into your Whole30, it can feel so automatic to go to the grocery store. You know where these food products are in the aisles. You may not have known where coconut aminos was the first time you walked in, and now you know. You know, and this is something that so many people have told me, after your Whole30 is over, long after, you keep buying Whole30 approved products because A, you know they work. They make you feel your best. They automatically don't contain grains or gluten or soy or dairy or added sugar or peanuts, the things that maybe you discovered don't work great for you when your Whole30 reintroduction happened. Or you discover those foods are fine for you, but you still just really like the new Primal's barbecue sauce. And why would you want to go back to an old brand when the new Primal brand you know contains ingredients you feel good about, and it's absolutely delicious and you don't feel like you're missing anything. So it can make going to the grocery store feel so much easier and so much more automatic when you just know the products that work for you and you know the Whole30 approved brands that you already know and trust and love. So I'm glad that that's feeling so much more automatic. That's going to carry you through long after your Whole30 is over. The label reading skills, the learning about the different brands, the understanding the different ways that they sneak sugar into products or some of the different additives, all of the things that we teach you on the Whole30 will come in handy basically for the rest of your life. And you get to apply them in whatever way works best for you in your food freedom. So I love to hear that. And great work. Rachel has a question. Let's see. Is it common for menstrual cycles to change on the Whole30? It does happen relatively frequently, and I can't tell you why it happens. And honestly, neither could your healthcare provider unless you did some pretty comprehensive hormone panel testing. So, as you know, as a person goes through their menstrual cycle, these various hormones at play, estrogen and progesterone mostly, are in flux. They fluctuate. And based on where those hormones are, that triggers certain aspects of your cycle. So, over the course of your Whole30, the foods that you eat can also play a role in your hormonal balance. So, as you go through your Whole30, that can lead to changes in your cycle. I've heard people who haven't had a cycle in a really long time all of a sudden get one again. Sometimes people's cycles come sooner, sometimes they come later, sometimes there's spotting. I don't know why that happens, meaning, like, I don't know what's going on with the hormones in your body to know whether this is a temporary thing or a good thing or indicative of a restoration of a normal, healthy cycle, or just part of the process of changing the food that you put on your plate and all of the downstream things that it affects. So I can say that it's normal, absolutely, and it's very common, but I can't say why it's happening or whether or not the change that you're experiencing in your cycle is going to continue. So you said you were supposed to start at Friday, ended up starting today, so it's a little bit early. Will that continue next month? I'm not sure. Is it indicative of some sort of problem with your Whole30? Doubtful, but you can always talk to your OBGYN if you are curious or if any piece of you is concerned. But it's really complex, and it's one of those things where I've talked to OBGYNs before and we've asked them, do dietary changes impact menstrual cycles? And they say absolutely, it absolutely can, it absolutely does. But when I ask, like, well, how can we provide our Whole30ers with more context around why this happens and how this happens, unfortunately there are just too broad a range of potential factors at play that can lead to any one kind of common response. We're going to continue to work on this for you. We're talking to several people about menstrual cycles, about perimenopause and menopause, and these various different factors in a person's life where cycles do change. But I wish I had a better answer for you other than it's common and I don't know why it happens. As always, if you have any concerns whatsoever, definitely go talk to your functional medicine doctor or your OBGYN to make sure that you get the support that you need during your Whole30. So it's an unsatisfactory answer, but your question is it common? And I can definitively say yes, it is common. Erica is saying you're waking up wanting to move. Your steps are increased daily without pressuring yourself. I love that. That is also indicative of just your body feeling good, having more natural energy, having more motivation, having more self-confidence, knowing that you're fueling yourself well and you're nourishing yourself from a place of self-care can automatically lead you to, okay, well, now what else could I do? Well, maybe I'll be a little bit more active today. Maybe I'll take more steps. Maybe I'll go for a walk. Maybe I'll spend the hour after dinner cleaning and tidying and organizing instead of just sitting down on the couch like I might have some other nights. And all of those are just a good indicator that your body is happy and really enjoying what you're doing right now. So I love to see it. Lisa made the chicken bacon and ranch squash noodles. That is Danielle Walker's recipe. I was texting with her yesterday and I was like, Danielle, the hold this recipe has on me, I just want to eat it every single day. It's like probably the best recipe you've ever created. It's her sheet pan spaghetti squash, chicken, tomato, and bacon. It's in her new cookbook, Healthy in a Hurry, but I'm pretty sure she shared the recipe on the Whole30 recipes feed not that long ago, so you can also find it there. But it's so good. Oh yeah, and Lisa found it on Whole30's Facebook page. Yes, so we definitely did share it. But that's just one of the really good ones. Again, I made egg roll in a bowl last week. That was absolutely delicious. Right now, I just have a giant pan of ground meat with stuff over stuff waiting for me in the kitchen. That's what I'm going to eat right between this YouTube Live and my next podcast interview, which is going to happen right after this. So Dee Dee had butternut squash casserole this morning for breakfast. I love hearing that. Absolutely. Let's see. Hello from Michigan. I'm missing a whole bunch, but we've got a question or maybe a wish. Can we make Kava have a Whole30 menu item next? Yeah, I would love that. In fact, tell you what, I love Kava. We don't have one here in Salt Lake City, but anytime I travel to a city that has Kava, that is where I am ordering lunch from or dinner or DoorDash to my hotel. So Kava, if you are watching, call us. We would love to have a Whole30 approved menu on your board. And I think our community would love it as well. Our menu with Chipotle has gone so well. Our menu with Sweet Green went very, very well. We think we could do the same for you, Kava. And if you have a local Kava, send them a DM and be like, hey, have you thought about creating a Whole30 approved menu? Because I would order that every single day. Let's make it happen. Let's manifest a Whole30 menu at Kava. I would absolutely love that. Yes, let's do it. Bobby is saying meal plan for the week and I'm under your food budget for January. Wow, that's incredible. You know, meal planning, gosh, I think there's so many benefits of meal planning that you may not realize right off the bat. But when you sign up for a service like Real Plans, which is our official Whole30 meal planning partner, or just when you sit down and create a process for meal planning in your own kitchen, maybe it's with a notebook or with a cookbook or with some kind of, notes app in your phone, meal planning definitely saves you time in that you know what you're going to eat over the course of the next few days. So you don't have to waste time thinking about what's in my fridge, what could I prepare this for, what could I pull together for dinner, what am I going to make tonight? That's time. That's also energetic expenditure and stress. I really hate getting to 5 p.m. and realizing that we don't have anything planned for dinner. And now it's like, oh, okay, well, what do you want? What do you want? What do we have? Do we have ground beef? Yeah, but it's not defrosted. Okay, well, I guess we can't use ground beef. I mean, it can be stressful, especially when you're hungry and especially when you're already feeling a little burned out from a really difficult day. Meal planning also saves you significant money because you're no longer, this is what happens when I don't have a meal plan. I will go to the grocery store and anything that strikes my fancy, I will just throw it in the cart. Yeah, I would love some asparagus. Absolutely, I want tomatoes. Yes, broccoli sounds amazing. Definitely, I want, X, Y, and Z. I'm going to throw all these veggies in my cart. I'm going to get a couple proteins. But there's a really good chance that without a plan, I'm not going to be able to use all of that stuff that I just bought before it goes bad because real food is perishable. Or I'm going to find that I didn't buy enough of one thing and I bought too much of something else. So I don't have enough protein, but I have like a ton of vegetables. And now I have to go back and buy more protein, but then I don't have enough vegetables to pair with it. So I might have to go to the store again and kind of up my vegetable content. And then I discover I'm missing a sauce. And now all of a sudden I have all of these things that I bought that I don't really have a plan for, some of which might go to waste, some of which I might forget in the back of my pantry and then buy another one later because I forgot that I had this pasta sauce that I bought and didn't use. Meal planning really can save you a significant amount of money in your budget. Not only that, but you can look for things that happen to be on sale. If you're like looking through your, I get a Sprouts newsletter, I get a Whole Foods newsletter, I get a local grocery store newsletter. You're going through, you're looking at what's on sale or what's discounted. You can plan your meal around that. You can plan your meal around things that are in season. So I might want asparagus in the dead of winter, but it's like really expensive and kind of tough right now. So I could choose a more seasonally appropriate vegetable. There are a lot of benefits of meal planning. And I love the fact that you're doing your Whole30 and you're under your food budget, which proves that you don't have to spend more money just to do a Whole30. Some people do, especially if you don't have a lot of the staples that we use already in your pantry. Maybe you have to stock up on things like olive oil and coconut oil and chicken broth and some sauces, and those things can be expensive, but a lot of people find they save money during their Whole30 because they're not buying impulse, snacky junk food items. They're not buying alcohol. They're not going out to eat as much. And those like kind of impulse purchases and food waste can definitely be brought down with meal planning. So I love that. I think that's a great NSV, and I'm really happy to hear it. Emily is saying you're making Whole30 meals for your in-laws and it's so easy. Mom's diabetic. Sister is gluten-free. Brother-in-law is lactose-free. Literally Whole30 recipes fits your whole family. Now, I don't know about your mom because I'm not a doctor and I can't say for sure that there are specific Whole30 recipes that are right for her particular diabetic context, but I do know that all of our recipes are going to be grain-free. All of them are going to be dairy-free. And you've got lots of good healthy protein, you've got healthy fats, you've got a variety of carb sources to choose from. So if mom needs a lower carb meal or maybe a higher carb meal based on her context, that's pretty easy to do with a variety of vegetables and fruit. Sounds like you're winning, and I'm really glad that it is feeling very easy, and I hope everybody is loving what they're making. Erica's saying, I'm starting to strategize reintroduction. Yes, we are going to talk about reintroduction in another day or two. I'm currently in the process of planning the reintroduction YouTube live schedule. I've got to figure out what days I'm going to be on, what we're going to reintroduce, in what order. I'm currently in the works with that right now. In Whole30 day by day, I think it's day 25 or 26 that we start talking about reintroduction. So let me just peek. Yes, it's day 26 where we start talking about reintroduction. So that's another 3 days from now. We will probably have this conversation then on Friday around day 25. We're really going to dial in because that gives me another day or two to figure out what my reintroduction YouTube live schedule looks like. I'm going to lay it all out for you. You will know what to show up, what's going to show up on what day, and what we'll be talking about on each day. I won't be live every single day of reintroduction, but I'm going to plan it such that we're talking about reintroduction and that day's food group, and then you're going to have a day or two after reintro to go back onto the Whole30, and we'll be off on those live days, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about how that reintroduction went and what you're going to be reintroducing next. So we're going to plan it all out for you, and we're going to start talking about it on Friday. That's what we're going to do. So stay tuned on Friday. We're going to have a full reintroduction discussion and breakdown and resources, etc. And I'm going to help you come up with a plan then. So there you go. You can think about it between now and then. And then when I come up with my plan, you can figure out whether you want to sync your reintroduction to this plan or whether you just kind of want to follow along on your own and stay involved and take what you like from what we talk about here. Matthew is saying, who is Emily, Matthew, Emily, if you don't drink coffee, do you add nut pods to your mud water? Yeah, I do. So I don't do any caffeine. I haven't done caffeine in probably 12 years, I guess, at this point. It just doesn't agree with me. Even small amounts of caffeine make me feel really anxious and really jittery. It stays in my system for a really long time. I'm a slow metabolizer of caffeine, I discovered during some genetic testing. And the one time I tried to go back to it a couple years ago, it went terribly. I don't function well on caffeine. So I do decaf coffees sometimes, because actually decaf Americanos, and sometimes those even have too much caffeine for me because they're not 100% caffeine free, but mostly I can get away with a small one. And then I drink a mug of mud water every day. Mud water has about 17 grams of caffeine. So a cup of coffee is about 100 grams. Mud water is less than a fifth of that, and mud water has just enough caffeine to keep me happy. So it's enough that I notice a little bit of a boost, but mud water also has lion's mane and other functional mushrooms that aid in focus and productivity. So what I find is I do get the same focus and productivity benefits that I used to get from caffeine, but without any of the jitters or any of the anxiety or irritability. So I make my mud water. I use a scoop of mud water. I fill it with hot water from my kettle. I will add half a pack of chocolate element electrolytes when I'm not doing a Whole30, because those are food freedom compatible. They have stevia in them, but I'll add a little bit of electrolyte to it just for a little bit of salt. And then I'll add my nut pods on top, and I mix it up with just usually a spoon or a frother. And that's how I take my mud water, yes. And I find the nut pods, I like the mud water flavor, but it can be very earthy. That's like the best way to describe it. I wouldn't say it's bitter, but it's earthy. It's like chai and cacao and these kind of functional mushrooms. So I find the nut pods just sort of mellows the flavor out a little bit in a really nice way. Amber, good morning from Southern California. I am so glad you are feeling more grounded in your body. I love to hear that. That is fantastic. Jessica is saying, sleeping great, but heart rate's been slightly elevated at night recently. Stop eating 3 hours, blue light glasses, read, relax before bed. Well, I will tell you that via my Whoop data, my resting heart rate overnight fluctuates all the time. And there are definitely periods of time where it is up by 3, 4, 5 beats per minute for several nights in a row. And usually for me, it is stress related. So I can have all of the best practices before bed. I stop eating before bed. I wear my blue light glasses. I'm not on screens. I relax. I have good bedtime hygiene. But if I've spent the day stressed out, then my resting heart rate is going to be higher when it's measured that night. So for me, stress does a real number on it. Resting heart rate can also increase if you are just struggling to recover from your activity. So maybe your sleep is really good, but your exercise or the intensity of your exercise or the volume has gone up and sleep isn't enough to adequately recover. I'm actually going to be talking in an XOMU newsletter next Monday about the different kinds of rest and recovery that our bodies need, and sleep is a big part of it, but it's certainly not the only form. So sometimes that can happen. My resting heart rate also can go up quite significantly if I am fighting off a flu or a virus or a cold. But I'm talking about like I'll see a real big jump overnight, and it usually jumps in conjunction with my respiratory rate. So if my heart rate climbs significantly and my respiration rate climbs significantly and my HRV is down all at the same time, that's like a really strong red flag to pay attention that my body might be getting sick. What you're saying is it's been slightly elevated at night recently. That could be completely normal and not at all related to anything other than just normal body fluctuations, or it could indicate stress or a lack of recovery. So just keep an eye on it. Again, with resting heart rate, you really want to look at big picture trends. Daily trends are probably not worth keeping an eye on unless it's a really big fluctuation, but a point or 2 or 3 points from any one day to the next, not a big deal. Very, very normal depending on what you did that day. Weekly trends and monthly trends can be really significant. So I looked at my monthly trends this morning for resting heart rate and HRV, and I saw my HRV is up 20% from 1 month to the last month, which is a huge increase. And I'm so excited about it. But still, on any given day, I'm seeing numbers that fluctuate like this. So I wouldn't read too much into it for now. It's probably just a very normal variation. Welcome, Darlene, to the live. I'm glad you're here. It's okay that you're a couple minutes late. You can just jump on in whenever you want and catch up if you want to. And I love it. You and your husband are going to reintroduce together and then work your food freedom plans together. I love it. I love it. You're worth it. Might not be the same as your husband's worth it. And that will be really interesting for each of you to decide and to discuss. So I really like the idea during reintroduction for you both to come together. You ate the same meal. You both reintroduced black beans with your tacos. How do you feel? How did it work for you? What did you notice from a digestive perspective, from a joint swing and pain and swelling perspective? Did you love it? Did you just not really care about the beans at all? That could be a really fun way to talk through and dig through your reintroduction together and figure out where you might have differences in that worth it food freedom discussion for you. So I think that's great. Lisa, what happened? You went to a restaurant called Ahead and they were so nice. I love that. I do find that restaurants are just very accommodating with dietary restrictions, and especially if you call ahead and especially if you're really nice. And I always say, if you have the capacity, tip your waiter big if you have to make a bunch of substitutions and they're really nice about it and generous about it. And I find that you can do that with almost every restaurant and they're going to be really accommodating. And now you're going to be a fan of that restaurant for life. So repeat business is always good. Katie's asking, is there a chance for another Sweet Green partnership? I certainly hope so. We have, of course, stayed in touch with Sweet Green, and we, of course, love their, chain, and we love their food, and we love their mission and their vision. And I understand that restaurants want to sort of spend their like marketing cachet in a variety of places. But, we've had Chipotle coming back year after year after year for 4 years now. And we know that their Whole30 bowl has been the best selling lifestyle bowl that Chipotle has offered. So that's a little street cred for us. And we would love to come back with Sweet Green. So again, we're always open to these conversations, and absolutely it's like possible in the future, and we'll keep knocking down those doors. And also, if you want to manifest Sweet Green on top of Kava, that would be great. Let's just have Whole30 approved partnerships in every fast casual place. Let's just do it. I love it. Darlene is saying you're feeling better, cravings down to 0 because your chronic illness flares are finally under control for the first time in 3 years. These are the stories that just make me really proud and really happy, and why I'll continue to talk about Whole30 for the rest of my life, because we have stories like this, because your chronic illness flares are under control for the first time in 3 years, and there's no part of your life that will not spill over into in a really positive way. So I'm absolutely thrilled for you. Really excited to see what the next 7 days of Whole30 will bring. We'll talk about reintroduction and how you can bring those foods back in and figure out if you can identify any foods that might be triggering your flares. We'll talk about all of it, but for right now, congratulations, and I hope that you enjoy this. We love it. Hi from New York. You're doing your 4th Whole30. Welcome back. It's eating 3 meals a day as you travel is definitely hard. So you're saying you work with a friend with a different schedule and you get thrown off. I know. I mean, eating when I'm traveling is really, really tough. And what I end up doing is kind of just like making do wherever I can. On book tour, I had a lot of nights where by the time I got done with my book event, so like I'd have to leave at 4:30 to go to my book tour event, and I would be on site for 3 hours signing books and talking and doing some backstock and stuff. And then it would take me a little while to get back to my hotel. And so I would eat at 4 before I left. But by the time I got back to my hotel, it was like 8:30 or 9, and I was definitely hungry again. But it was too late for me to eat like a meal. So I ended up doing a lot of just meat sticks and Serenity Kid baby food pouches and like snacky style foods as sort of a mini meal. And I timed my breakfast, lunch, and dinner as best as I could. So even if I wasn't super hungry for dinner at 4, because I had just had lunch at 1, I made myself eat something because I knew that by the time I got done with my event, I would be starving. I always had emergency food on me. I travel with so many meat sticks. I would always find a grocery store near my hotel where I was staying, and I would go stock up. Even if I was only going to be there for a day or two, I would hit the grocery store and just replenish my stock of certain foods, sometimes meat sticks, definitely like pistachios or nuts and seeds, maybe a little bit of fruit. And if the grocery store had like a hot bar, I would take something back to my hotel with me. I would clear out a shelf in the mini fridge or the mini bar if there was one, or I would ask for the hotel to bring a little fridge up to my room, which they almost always can do. And I would just store the hot food bar food so I would have it for the next day. The other thing that I would do sometimes is I would order DoorDash ahead of time to be delivered around the time that I thought I was going to get back to my hotel, and I would just have the front desk hold it. So I'd walk into my hotel, the DoorDash of my like Sweet Green meal or my Flower Child meal or my like whatever was Whole30 I knew could be made Whole30 compatible was already there. And I would just pick it up and go. And that way I wouldn't have to worry about getting back to my hotel, then ordering something, then it taking 30 minutes to get to me. So planning and preparation here goes a really long way. Before I even get on the airplane to take my trip, I'm doing a Google Map search of where my hotel is, and then I'm looking at the area around it and going, what's nearby? Where is there a grocery store? Where is there a coffee shop? Like, what kind of restaurants are nearby? Sometimes I'll even go into DoorDash ahead of time, put the address of the hotel in so I can preview the kinds of restaurants and meals that are available to me. It might sound a little too like type A planning, but when you travel as much as I do, you know that the brain loves a plan, and the brain is so much more relaxed and so much less stressed if it has a plan. And if I can do all of my planning from the relative comfort of my own home, and I don't have to do it on the fly with like spotty Wi-Fi on the plane or while I'm in the Uber rushing to my next meeting, it makes my travel so much more pleasant. So I feel like I front load a lot of the work of planning my meals and snacks while I travel before I even get on the road so that future me doesn't have to worry about it. So hopefully you find some of those tips helpful. It's been a while since I've written down my full, like, how I handle food on a business trip routine. I did an article about it a long time ago for the Whole30 blog, and I don't think it's changed that much, to be honest, but maybe it deserves an update. So I'll look into writing that, and I hope that you found some tips helpful there for all of your travels, Lisa. Jackie is saying good morning, heading to Vegas with your sister, feeling strong and ready for a sober, healthy weekend, and about handling the buffets. I remember from the last Vegas trip that the buffet had a ton of really simple, healthy Whole30, what looked to be Whole30 compatible options. They have chicken breast, they have steak, they have eggs, hard-boiled eggs, or you could do like an omelet bar where you could request that your eggs not be mixed with dairy. They had smoked salmon and regular salmon, like just basic proteins, veggies, a big salad bar. I would go and kind of scope out the buffet before you take your first plate. Maybe talk to one of the hosts or the person who's kind of, your server, maybe if you have one, and just say, like, I have some dietary restrictions. Can I ask about the ingredients and some of these items? But like, do a lay of the land first, and then go ahead and pick your buffet options and go back and, do protein and veggies, do a bunch of fruit if you want with your meal, or with part of your like second plate if you want to do like a protein rich plate and then maybe a lighter plate after with more veggies. But you should be in like okay shape because some of those buffets are so extensive that they have a little bit of everything, and you should be able to cobble together like bits and pieces from the entire buffet to put together what should be a really hearty and delicious plate. So go in, do your lap, scope it out, ask whatever questions you have, and then make your choices based on that. And good luck and have fun in Las Vegas. You will be the most well-rested, energetic person in the morning in Las Vegas, except for anyone else who might be visiting doing a Whole30. There you go. Maybe you'll find each other like up early in the morning, like getting your power walk on or something. Welcome back, Genevieve. It's good to see you back. I hope you're having a lovely evening in Spain. Sarah, new favorite recipe is the white chicken chili from the Slow Cooker Cookbook. Yeah, that one is so good. I love that recipe. I forgot about that one, but that's a really good one. There's another white chicken chili recipe is it the one from the Real Food Dietitians? Did they contribute that to the Slow Cooker Cookbook, or is that one of mine? I can't remember. But there are a few white chicken chili cookbooks that are recipes that are floating around that are absolutely delicious. And you could also use that recipe in reintroduction, and you could just add white beans to it, and that would be a perfect Whole30 plus legume reintroduction meal. So we're going to talk about reintroduction meals again on Friday. Laura's asking about plans to bring Whole30 approved products to Canada. We do have some. There are some Canadian brands like Good Food for Good that are Canada-based and Whole30 approved. So we do have a few of them. And then we also have Natura Market in Canada that sells many Whole30 approved US-based brands. So you can get them for sure. And then there are also, I think, some companies that proactively sell in Canada. So like Chomp Snack Sticks, I'm pretty sure they're a US-based company, but I'm pretty sure that they also distribute in Canada. The problem with finding Whole30 approved or compatible brands in Canada is because we don't live in Canada. I don't know your food scene. I don't know what grocery stores you have. I don't know the manufacturers based in Canada. Like, I'm not there. None of our team is there to do recon. We have one team member who works with us who's in Canada, and it would be a lot to ask poor Shannon to scour the entire country for compatible brands. It's too much work for just one person. Because we don't have a presence, it's just really hard to kind of pick up traction in Whole30 approved territory with brands. But we're always on the lookout. We love it when Canadians send us their favorite compatible products so we can reach out to the brand and potentially open a conversation or a partnership, or at least keep the brand in mind when someone is saying, hey, I'm in Canada, is there a Whole30 compatible bacon that you recommend? We can say, oh yes, other Canadians have sent us this brand that we really like. So we are definitely working on it, and we would love to see Whole30 approved expand into other countries. It's just hard when we're not in those countries. Okay, Plover Yoga is watching from, and you're in, hi Lisa, and you're in our Whoop group. So there's a Whole30 group in the Whoop app. There's over 100 people in it, and it's people who are doing the January Whole30 and are tracking their non-scale victories with Whoop. And we're all talking about our non-scale victories in there this morning. Everybody is sharing. And the reason that we're sharing today is because right after this live, I'm going to be recording the Whoop podcast. So I'll be on the Whoop podcast. I think it's going to air probably around the end of January. I'll keep you posted. But we're going to talk about Whole30 and how Whole30 and Whoop intersect. And I'm going to share some non-scale victories from Whole30 Whoop group members. So that's going to be really, really fun. And I am glad that you are with us over there, Lisa, too. Fantastic. Brenda is saying you used your whole food budget on one trip to Costco. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, Costco will do that to you, right? But the good news is that you buy things in bulk and then they last you a really long time. You put a bunch of stuff in your freezer. Oh yeah, we love the Teton Waters Ranch sausages. You can find them at Costco. They go in the freezer. They are absolutely delicious. We love to see it. Elena is saying Butcher Box is having a great deal right now. I know Butcher Box is such a wonderful service. I've been getting Butcher Box delivery since like before they were even a Whole30 partner and Whole30 approved. But it's like a meat CSA. It's incredibly cost effective. It is accessible. I don't remember what their cost per meal breaks down to at this point, but it's very affordable in terms of buying grass-fed, pastured, organic, wild-caught, high-quality protein, and they ship straight to your doorstep. It goes straight into my freezer, so anytime I need bacon or ground beef or chicken breast, I just have it in there. And you can either curate your own box and say like, oh yes, I want bacon with every box, I want pork shoulder with every box, or they can send you their own cuts, and that gives you instant variety and lets you customize to your specified price point. So we love Butcher Box, and they do have special deals running on a regular basis. Like I'm on their Bacon for Life deal where I added bacon to my box, and now I get free bacon for life every time they send me a shipment. And it's Whole30 approved, no sugar bacon, and it's delicious. It's what I made on Sunday when I made my parents breakfast. So I think that is great. Bobby is saying, yes, it can cost a lot to start. So if you have been not cooking your own food, eating a lot of takeout, dining out quite a bit, and now you have to prepare some basic like pantry staples, if you need cooking oil and if you need all of the kind of things, spices, for example, spices can be really expensive. But the good news is that you can start off slow. You can just buy one bottle of cooking oil. You don't need avocado oil and extra virgin olive oil and ghee and coconut oil. Just buy one and use that. You can start off your spice collection really plain and basic and simple. Just get 2 or 3. And then as you have capacity, you can add on to them. And then yes, once you have all of your basics down, it does become a lot more sustainable. I think that makes a lot of sense. Michelle is saying you love the energy you have. You're walking on breaks, eating lunch before and walk during lunch. I love that. Thank you. I am really enjoying the red lip as well. But I love that idea. And Whole30 is sharing our link to Butcher Box here. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. Ruth is excited about reintroduction. I am too. I'm going to make sure we're all prepped and ready to go for Friday. So yes. And yes, Serenity, I am going to publish the schedule well in advance so you can shop accordingly. Yes, by Friday, I will have the reintroduction schedule that we will be covering here in the YouTube lives. And I'll let you know what we'll be reintroducing on what day. You do not have to follow this schedule that I am walking people through. You can, and it will be wonderful and it will be easy and you'll be able to stay on track with everyone kind of reintroducing things on the same day. There's definitely a benefit to letting us plan your reintroduction for you, but there's a reintroduction schedule on the website. There's a reintroduction schedule in Day by Day. There's a reintroduction schedule in Food Freedom Forever, and there's one in the Whole30 book. You can find reintro schedules in a variety of places. They're mostly the same in that we recommend you reintroduce things in a specific order, but you can reintroduce however you want. If you want to freestyle it and discuss your own reintroduction schedule and bring things back in a different order, you absolutely can. So I'll share what we're going to be doing here well ahead of time so that you can plan and prepare and you can continue to reintroduce in your own fashion if you want to. So absolutely. Darlene is saying you've made multiple Whole30 recipes new to us and hubby says they're keepers. We love that. It's so funny. My son, I made egg roll in a bowl, and I don't think my son has eaten that with us before. I've made it before, but it's not one that I keep in rotation like a ton. And so I think this was his first time eating it. And we made it with like a spicy mayo. I mixed the Primal Kitchen mayo with just a little like buffalo sauce from the new Primal and made a spicy like mayo to drizzle over it and sesame seeds. And he took a bite and he was like, I don't know. This isn't my favorite. I'm not sure I love the mayo. And I'm like, okay, let me know what you think. So we're all sitting and talking. We're having dinner with my parents. I look over 2 minutes later, his bowl is cleaned. And I was like, huh. So I didn't say anything because you don't want to like spook a kid, right? When they really are into a meal, you don't want to like freak them out by addressing it like too directly. So I just didn't say anything. And when I was done, I was like, so how did that work out for you? And he goes, I guess it was okay. And I'm like, cool, that's a winner. So I'm going to check that one in my box and we'll be making that one again. Yes. But I love it when you make new recipes and everybody says they're a keeper. I love it. Toasted marshmallow nut pod in mud water. I know. Nut pods are really good. And again, you'll see a lot of their flavor names are like cookie or cake, or they are reminiscent of desserts, but that's a fantastic way to market the products. I promise you, these nut pods are unsweetened. There's nothing sweet about them. They have flavors that are really reminiscent of a, coffee cake, like the one I had this morning with like a little hint of cinnamon and warmth, but don't let the name fool you. This is not your, what's the coffee creamer that I used to use? The stuff that I don't think is dairy and has so much sugar. Comes in a big old bottle. I won't name drop. This is not that. Your nut pods are a blend of almond milk and coconut milk. They're absolutely delicious. They are creamy in recipes. They're creamy in beverages. And they have so many amazing Whole30 approved flavors that I think it's worth like getting a couple, throwing them in rotation, and just enjoying the flavor sensation and the creaminess that they add to your coffee or your mud water or your tea or what have you. Wendy is saying, hi from London. Hello. I'm glad that you're enjoying these lives and that they've been really, really helpful. You're still grazing like a gazelle and resisting template meals. Okay. Well, Wendy, first of all, if you are eating Whole30 food, every time you put food into your mouth, you're doing it right. So you don't need to be stressed about this. You don't need to be worried about it. You don't need to be like down on yourself somehow. That's okay. The habit of grazing is just that. It can just be a habit. It could be that you aren't doing enough meal planning. And because you're not doing meal planning, you're just kind of like, grabbing catch as catch can when you have a moment and you realize you're hungry. That's okay. It may be emotional. You may be finding that you're reaching for something to eat when you're bored or you're lonely or you're anxious. Also, that's okay because you're continuing to eat Whole30 food. You don't need to make template meals. You absolutely don't need to eat any one specific way for the Whole30. Template meals, like I've talked about before, where it's like ground meat, a bunch of veggies, you cook once and then you put different dressings or sauces on to change it up. You don't have to eat like that. If you really love the idea of making discrete recipes, you can make them. If you really like the idea of just putting ingredients on your plate and eating them, that's fantastic. You can absolutely, for every single day of your Whole30, throw a burger on a plate, throw some sweet potatoes on a plate, throw some green beans on a plate, add a little bit of added fat, maybe over your steak as the sauce, or maybe it's a little bit of an avocado, and that's your dinner. And if that feels and sounds delicious and hearty and rewarding to you, which it does to me because I love all of those ingredients, then you can absolutely keep doing that. There is no one right way to do a Whole30. If you would like to graze less, if you feel as though grazing might not be serving you in that, when I graze, I don't know if I'm eating enough because typically the foods I graze on aren't particularly protein dense. We tend not to graze on meat sticks or hard-boiled eggs. We tend to graze on snacky things that are probably carb-based or fat-based. So maybe I'm not getting enough protein, and I really want to make sure I get enough protein for my activity levels and satiety. If that's the case, if you would like to graze less, then just think about, okay, well, what would I need to do to make sure that I'm well fed enough that I won't need to graze to make sure that I'm satisfying my hunger? Maybe you just start off really small, which is every single day you have a meal one planned. So every single day, you know what you're going to eat for meal one. Maybe it's a frittata. Maybe you have the same breakfast every morning. Maybe it's like eggs and no sugar bacon and mixed berries and a slice of avocado with some hot sauce. Whatever that looks like, maybe you just start with one meal a day and you plan one meal a day. And then you see how that changes. Maybe you find, okay, well, when I have breakfast, I don't feel like I need to graze at 9:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. And it's not until like lunchtime that I start to feel the need to like be snacky or graze. So maybe planning a meal there really helps with that. So you don't have to tackle it all at once. But if you choose to tackle it, that might be a good way to start. Is just start with one meal and think about the kind of meal planning that works best for you. Template meals won't work for everyone. Ingredient meals won't work for everyone. Cooking recipes from a cookbook won't work for everyone. So you have to think about the way that's going to work best for you. It's going to fit into your life. It's going to feel satisfying. It's going to feel delicious. It's going to fit your budget. But again, there is no one right way to do the Whole30, and you're here and you're still eating Whole30 compatible food for every single meal or snack, and that's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. And I would be shocked if you don't already have some amazing non-scale victories here on day 23 from just those habits. Jessica, you're looking forward to the email on Monday about the different types of recovery. This was a fun one to write. It's going to be a two-parter. It's going to show up in XOMU, which is my free Monday newsletter. And I'm going to talk about rest and recovery with specific actionable details, because there's nothing I hate worse than an article or a podcast that talks about you need this kind of rest and here's why it's important and here are all the things it will do for you and here's what happens when we don't get this rest, and you're like, yes, cool, I'm sold. And then they don't tell you how to do it, like specifically how to do it. I get really mad at that. I like to give very practical advice. So what you're going to get in part 1 on Monday is rest, specific types of rest, what it looks like, why you need it, how it will benefit you, and how to do it. So you can subscribe to that, melissau.com/subscribe. That's where you can get on my free email newsletter list. And I think you're really going to like it. It's been really fun to write those over the last couple weeks. Matthew/Emily is wanting to eventually get off your full caffeine coffee. I know there's a blog post on melissau.com. I think it's in 2 parts about quitting caffeine. The first part is like my story, why I chose to do it, what it's looked like throughout the years, the benefits that I've seen. The second part is how you can do it if you choose to either take a caffeine holiday or quit caffeine entirely. So you might want to look at that. It's melissau.com. And if you just do a search in the search bar for caffeine, as I'm reading Kathleen's comment next, that is what you're going to find. You have periods of high energy mentally and physically, and then other times you crash and you're tired. So yeah, I think it's definitely normal, Kathleen, and I'm curious if you're noticing patterns during the day. It is very biologically normal for us to have down periods between like 2 and 4 p.m. I discovered this when I was doing my research on this rest piece. From 2 to 4 p.m., it is biologically normal for us to feel a little bit more tired, a little less creative, a little less productive. This would normally be a part of the day where we were starting to wind down and settle down. First thing in the morning, where cortisol is rising, we're up and at 'em, we're go getting them, we're getting our stuff done in the early morning hours. And then as the day wears on, it's normal for us to be less active. If you are feeling these, like you used the word crash, if you're really feeling these crashes, especially at this point in your Whole30, I would ask you, are you making sure you're eating enough? So are you eating 3 meals a day at least? Are you making sure you're using our meal template as your minimum, especially in terms of added fat? And then, are you eating enough carbohydrate? If you're focusing so much on the carb light, nutrient dense vegetables, the broccoli, the cauliflower, the spinach, the kale, the green beans, the tomatoes, those are all so nutrient dense and have so much micronutrition, and they're very good for your body, the micronutrition content, but there's not a lot of carbohydrate in there. And sometimes energy fluctuations like this can indicate that you just need a little bit more carbohydrate to help you sustain your energy levels throughout the day. This could be a really easy little mini test for you, Kathleen. Add potatoes or some fruit or some butternut squash or some plantains or whatever you choose to every single meal. I don't mean add a lot. I'm not saying add 2 potatoes to your dinner, but add some every single meal for the next day or two and see if that helps with your energy fluctuations. If it does, easy, simple fix. Your body likes running on carbohydrate for energy. It wasn't getting quite enough to keep up with your activity levels. And now you're giving it a little bit more and everything feels a little bit easier. And you might still have normal fluctuations, but you're not crashing anymore. If that doesn't do it, and you still find you're having these energy dips and real serious crashes, then start thinking about, okay, what are some commonalities in how I'm feeling? And maybe a food journal can help here too. When I eat a big whack load of sweet potato with my meal, I tend to experience an energy crash. I know that that's something that happens to me. I tolerate white potatoes way better than sweet potato. And if I eat a lot of sweet potato in any one meal, despite the fact that I am really carb tolerant, I can experience a little bit more of a crash than I normally would. Or is it every day at a certain amount of a certain time of day? And maybe it's, when I've gone more than 4 hours without eating and I know I need to throw a mini meal in there. So you can start looking for patterns in there as well. But the first thing I would start with is just throwing a little bit more into your meals and seeing if that helps and if that works. Because it is very common. It definitely can happen. Let's see, how are we doing on these comments and questions? So many of them. Fluctuating energy. Yeah, Amber is saying timing your carbohydrates can actually help as well. Yeah, that's, again, all of these like little self-experiments. I find in the morning, I do really, really well if I have a protein and fat rich breakfast. So my meal one is very often ground meat, like ground beef, with a whole bunch of vegetables and a dressing or sauce. That tides me over so much better than like breakfast food, like eggs and sweet potato hash. That just works great for me. So you could also play around with timing of these, various micronutrients. Just start paying attention, I think, to when you're starting to feel energy fluctuations and see if you can find any commonalities in where they are happening. Wendy is talking about Food Freedom Forever appearing available and Audible in the UK. I actually don't know. I will find out for you. I know I did record it in the US, but I don't know if it made it over to my UK publisher. So we will find out and I will come armed with an answer for you tomorrow. Let's see. Worried about the last weekend. Lisa, you're going to go see your sick parents. I'm so sorry, Lisa. That must be really hard and really stressful. And yes, you usually drink a glass of wine to de-stress at the end of your day and you want something else. Okay. I understand and fully agree that you deserve and need something at the end of your really emotionally challenging day to help you unwind and de-stress. And the answer is essentially what in that moment would feel really good to you. And it does not have to be a food or a drink. Wine is not available right now, and that's okay. What else could you do? Could you go for a walk all by yourself? Could you, order a Chipotle meal in and not have to worry about dishes and sit all by yourself with a good book or a Netflix show and just take a moment and nourish yourself and de-stress? Could you take a really long hot bath? Could you plan a yoga class? Could you go browse a bookstore for a little while? So you're with other people, but you're still by yourself and you're doing something that just feels very supportive and very, again, nourishing for you. There are any number of things I think that you could insert in place of this, giving yourself a glass of wine that would accomplish the feeling of, I'm giving myself a physical delineation between this really difficult emotional circumstance and transitioning into the rest of my night where I need to relax and get a good night's sleep to restore. And this idea of just nourishing yourself in the moment, what could that look like for you? We could give you a ton of ideas and suggestions, but I might not come up with the one thing that feels the most nourishing to you. Maybe it's an activity that you don't allow yourself or have time enough to do on your own that you really love. It's coloring in your adult coloring book or building a puzzle or just taking a few moments to journal, which is something that you really love to do, but you don't often have the 15 or 20 dedicated minutes to do it in a way that feels good to you. Maybe you give yourself that time after your visit as a way of replenishing your heart and your soul and your mental health. So those are all ideas, but I think it's really going to be up to you to choose the thing that is going to feel the most rejuvenating, the most restorative. It shouldn't be something that you feel like you assign to yourself. It shouldn't be something that you feel like you should do because other people say hot baths are relaxing. Like, if that's not going to do it for you, don't do it. This should be the moment where you are supremely selfish and you say, I am only going to look to myself to tell myself what I need in this moment for my highest good. And I know that it is not my highest good to drink a glass of wine because I made this Whole30 promise to myself. And I know that drinking this glass of wine is probably not going to make me feel my best. I'm not going to sleep my best. I'm not going to wake up feeling the best. And I'm probably going to be not happy that I made this choice. What else can I give myself? And really check in with yourself and find the thing that is going to make you feel the best. I'm wishing you luck for this weekend. If you want other, ideas or extra support, you can keep asking and we can continue to share in the comments in these lives. And certainly after the weekend, you can let us know how it went and then what you chose to do to really take good care of you during these emotionally challenging evenings. And I'm wishing you luck there. Kiosha is asking about MSG. Absolutely, yes, MSG is perfectly compatible with the Whole30 program rules. We made a rule change about a year ago to clarify our position on MSG and the fact that though many people still fearmonger against MSG, that fearmongering is not grounded in reputable science and is probably, in fact, originated with racism and xenophobia, and those don't have any place in the Whole30 program rules. So yes, I happen to have a shaker of MSG in my cabinet right now, and my dad and I threw some on our eggs this weekend when I cooked breakfast, and it was absolutely delicious. I love the flavor that it adds, and I don't notice a single negative effect when I eat it. So yes, you absolutely can. And Whole30 is sharing our article on MSG. That was about 2 years in the making right there. So fantastic. Oh no, Emily, you dropped a whole jar of mayo. I've done that before. I've done it with mayo. I have dropped and shattered an entire bottle of avocado oil, which is also so expensive and so hard to clean up. It just makes you so sad because those Primal Kitchen bottles that they sell at Costco are huge. I have one in my fridge right now. And you just know that that's such a waste of a product. I'm so sorry. And I'm sorry that you cried. It's not spilled milk, it's spilled mayo, but it's way more valuable. We all know this. I'm really sorry. Michelle is saying Thrive Market helps cut down costs too. Yes. Every time you place an order at Thrive Market, you are guaranteed to save on retail prices. They will price match for you. They guarantee that you will make your membership fee back in your first year membership. If not, they'll refund it to you. But it's like impossible not to make your membership fee back because every time I order, I am just saving tens, if not $100, depending on how big an order I place. So we absolutely love Thrive Market. Yes. And we also have a Thrive Market link here for you to check it out. I believe they give you a good amount of money off your first order. And then they also throw in like a free gift if you sign up through our link. So Bobby is saying Thrive Market is amazing for spices. Yes, they do. They sell bulk spices through Thrive Market, and it is so much easier to just refill your jars. Lisa is saying egg roll in a bowl is a Whole30 compatible recipe. Yes, there are several versions of it online. If you just Google Whole30 egg roll in a bowl, you'll find a number of recipe creators that have recipes. I used the recipe from Kayla, who shared it on Whole30 recipes a few months back. I can try to share it to my stories if you want. It's a good one. But I know like Michelle Rosen of Paleo Running Mama has a really good version. I'm pretty sure that, I'm not going to say because I'm not positive that they have one. But anyway, there are a few really, really good recipes that are available. Whole30 egg roll in a bowl, and you can find some really good ones. Oh yeah, here's the Real Food Dietitians right there too. Yes. I mean, I basically like love anything that the Real Food Dietitians put out. Okay. I have to wrap up because I have to go run to my Whoop podcast interview. But let me just make sure, let's see, back listening off and on. I don't know the caffeine in 4-sigmatic mushroom coffee. I actually don't know off the top of my head. And that's not something that I drink because that's too much caffeine. So you'd probably have to ask them specifically. Here is the egg roll in a bowl recipe, Kayla's, that I made for my parents this weekend. It was very good. I added a little bit more coconut aminos when I served it. I did make a spicy mayo. I added some sesame seeds and green onion over the top. Super easy, really, really delicious. And okay, well, I'm going to sign off because I need to go get ready for my Whoop interview. I'm really excited and I'll let you know when it's coming. And then I'm also going to work on the schedule for our reintroduction YouTube live series. I will absolutely have that done and ready for you by Friday. And that's when we're going to talk about reintroduction. We did not talk about Whole30 day 23 for like even 1 second today, but that's okay because we've already talked about a whole lot of stuff that we talk about here. We're talking about cravings, getting on the scale. We've already talked about all of this. We have such good conversations during these lives. But if you do have your day-by-day journal, go ahead and go through day 23. Everything we've talked about here today is very indicative of where we are in this journey about 3 weeks into the Whole30. So it's a very organic conversation always. I'm really glad that these lives are making a difference, and I'm really glad that you're enjoying them. I enjoy them as well. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Same time, same spot to go over Whole30 day 24. We'll be on day 24 if you can believe it. So come back tomorrow and I will see you then. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button before you go to like the video because that helps us out when we want to share the channel. All right, have a good day, everybody. See you soon.